welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Lauren, and I'm going to be guiding you through a restorative yoga practice. If you've never practiced restorative yoga, welcome. And the intention of restorative yoga is to slow down, calm down, relax the muscles, soften the joints, allow the mind to really be restful and at ease. So it's a very slow, calming, and quiet yoga practice. So I like to put on an extra layer because you're not going to be moving fast or working hard in any way. So something to maybe think about. And then similarly, we're going for an environment or atmosphere that is, again, quieting, calming, relaxing. So if you've got a lot of lights on in the room, overhead lights especially, you might want to turn those off or dim them if possible, just to allow yourself to really relax. We want to get close to that feeling while we're in these poses of almost like you could and you might even fall asleep. Just sort of getting to that space where you feel like maybe you could fall asleep there. Because we'll be in all these poses for at least 5 minutes, if not 6 or 7. So we really allow everything to rest. So doing whatever you need to accomplish that. And props will help us do this. So typically we would be using blocks and bolsters. Most people do not have those things at home. If you do, and you know how to do these poses with those more traditional props, absolutely go ahead and do that. But if you don't, if you're like most people and do not have those props at home, I would suggest grabbing 4 pillows. Now I grab like throw pillows. They're a little bit smaller than an average pillow, mostly because they're more dense than the pillows I sleep with. So I like these, but you will need about 4. So whether they're small or large, whatever size, shape, density you can find, we want something to be supporting the body. So grabbing onto those. And then I also have a folded towel that I'm going to place under my head for a few poses. That's optional. And then when you're getting out of the poses, I'll be ringing this Tibetan bell, and that will let you know that we are moving out of the pose. So that's really all you need, just these 4 pillows of any shape, size, density, color, texture, pattern, whatever. So once you've gotten all that together, we're going to start on our backs. So you can just set this stuff off to the side. We don't need it just yet. When we get into our restorative poses, we will get there and use them, but to start, we're just gonna kind of catch our breath, more or less. So this is where I like to have the towel under my head. And you can come down onto your back. Now you might lengthen your legs, you might bend your knees. What I want for you here is to be in a position that feels really comfortable, that takes really, truly no work. So that's the theme throughout any restorative yoga practice, that the poses should take no work, none whatsoever. So we want to start to get our body ready for that, and our mind mostly ready for that. It's often very challenging to ask our mind to slow down. Our body usually has no problem being still, but our mind usually has an issue with that. So we're going to start off here, excuse me, knees bent or legs extended, whatever you like. I would allow your arms to rest either out in opposite directions or sort of at a diagonal away from you with your palms facing up. Let your eyelids feel heavy so they softly close. And allow yourself to rest. Imagine all of the muscles that you've been working through the day. Even if you felt like you weren't working hard at any point in the day, you were still walking around, standing up, sitting down, moving in some way. And all of those movements take muscles. Breathing takes muscles. So any muscle that feels like it was working today, let it get the chance to rest. That's what this is all about. Balancing out the amount of time that you work with the amount of time that you rest. Coming a little closer to a true balance between the work and the rest throughout the day, physical and mental. So allow rest. All the muscles soften, all the joints release tension. And as you let your body relax, turn your attention to your breath. Continue softening muscles and joints and just notice your breath. Notice if you breathe through your nose or your mouth. Notice if you breathe into your chest or your belly. Notice if your breath makes a sound or if it's silent. And you're more than welcome to stay here. Just continue observing your breath. Or we begin to lengthen the breath. Specifically, we lengthen the exhalation here. Lengthening the exhalation is said to create a calming effect, not just on your body, but also on your mind. So I'll walk you through this breath work, but again, you're welcome to maintain your natural breath. To begin, exhale completely. Inhale to a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And return back to your natural breath. Notice how you feel. Continue to keep your focus inward and your presence very soft and quiet. It might feel right for you to set an intention for your practice. Ask yourself what brought you to your mat. And whatever the answer is, it might be something physical, mental, emotional. Just make sure it's a positive word or phrase. Give yourself a few moments to slowly repeat that phrase or that word to really let it settle into your heart. Slowly start to deepen your breath. And as you deepen your breath, create soft, small, gentle movements in your body. Let your head rock side to side. Wiggle fingers and toes, arms and legs. Remember that throughout the practice, we're hoping to slow everything down, so making sure that your movements are slow and soft. There's no rush, there's no hurry. You are exactly where you need to be. Okay. So in another moment, we'll meet with the knees bent and the feet flat. Feet and knees can be either together or about hip distance, whatever feels best for you. And allow the arms to come out in opposite directions with the palms facing up. From here, we'll just let the knees sway from side to side. Let them both fall to the right and to the left. Now the intention here is to very softly and gently warm up your spine. So it's not meant to be deep, it's not meant to be intense, and it's certainly not meant to be fast. So checking in, noticing what it feels like to do this movement. Again, it might be mild, that's okay. You're still feeling something, even if it's mild, so check in with that feeling. Notice the way that your spine is twisting, and how your lower back is massaging onto the floor. You might even feel it in the upper parts of your glutes. Let's let the legs go to each side one more time. And then we'll slowly return back to the center. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug the knees in towards your chest. You might rock side to side, even further massaging your lower back. Remember that everything we do should be very comfortable. So move in a way that is true for you in your body in this moment. And then eventually slowly roll all the way over onto either side in a tucked fetal position, resting your ear on your arm. Support your head and neck. Take a breath. Now with the top arm, bring it in front of your chest and really push that hand down. Push down to lift your chest, bring both hands down and then lift. Okay, we're going to come up to a seat for a moment. We won't be here too long. If you do have a block, I would suggest sitting on the block, but if you don't, that's okay. You can sit on the pillow or just right on the ground. We won't, again, be here very long. So let's start by lengthening the spine. Sit up tall, let the shoulders relax. We're going to warm up your spine just a little bit more. So as you inhale, draw your belly forward, lift your chest, lift your heart. Exhale, tuck your tailbone, draw your ribs back, the chin to the chest, look down towards your belly button. Inhale as you draw the belly forward, lift the chest, lift the heart, maybe look up. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs back, chin to the chest, look down. Let's do a few more like this. So here we're moving with the breath in and out and back and forth between these poses to warm up the spine, but then also again to sort of warm up our mind. Again, it's very challenging to just rest in stillness. So you can think of this as sort of warming up your mind, warming up your energy. I used to teach kids classes, and when they would get a little ants in their pants kind of thing, we would let them shake their sillies out. So we'd let them just shake around, move around, jump around, twirl around, and then it's time to rest. And I think of this as the same sort of thing. You're sort of wiggling, shaking, moving your sillies out. that monkey mind, that chatter, move, give it what it wants, and then it will relax. So do this one more time of each. And then slowly return back to the center. Okay. So we'll start right with these restorative poses here. So we're going to start with one that requires everything. This is really the pose that why we need as much as we do. So we're coming into butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. So you might be familiar with this butterfly pose, bottoms of the feet together, but in this version we're going to support the legs and lay back. So my pillows are sort of two different shapes, so I'm going to take the bigger ones. So if you have pillows like from your bed, this is where you would take those, and you're going to place them on your back, or on the, this is where your back will go, on towards the back of your mat. I'm also going to support my head. You want to make sure that you're completely supported. If you're using just one pillow, a regular pillow, it's probably not long enough. Your head is going to be kind of dropping back. So support it somehow. Okay. I'm going to bring this closer. And you're going to take a seat. So you're sitting sort of right up against the pillow. And this could be a stack of towels, blankets. It could be a bolster. And you'll come into butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana with the legs. The bottoms of the feet will come together. The knees splay out wide. The legs make the shape of a diamond. Now your feet might be far away from you. Your feet might be right in beside you. That's up to you. Listen to your body. We want to stretch, but something that's very comfortable, very relaxing, and something where you can stay for, again, about 5 minutes, if not longer. So then we're going to support the legs. So allowing them to just hang like this really is not so great for the joints because they're just hanging. So we need to support them. If you've got blocks usually come here, but pillows, towels, a rolled up sweatshirt, that'll work just fine too, as long as you probably just have to pull it a little closer. So positioning yourself so that you are supported. Here your legs can really sink into the support of whatever it is that's underneath them. And then you're going to start to lay back. So lowering down onto, again, pillows, towels, blankets, whatever it is. And I want to make sure, again, that your head isn't dropping back. You should be looking straight up at the ceiling. So I feel like I need a little bit more height. So this is where I use this towel under my head. Okay. And then you might kind of fidget. So again, the hope is that you stay still once you're in it, but you've got a moment or two to sort of adjust and wiggle. Just because this is the position you land in doesn't mean you're stuck here. You're not in glue or quicksand. You can move. So give yourself whatever you need to do, shake your sillies out, do what you gotta do, so that then once you really find the pose, you'll know that you find the pose. If anyone knows Karina, she always says, when you get into the pose, you should feel like you want to go, and I love that description. That's really how you know you're in the pose. So your pose, which might look very different from mine, but I have this sense of in this pose, and so I know that it's right for me. My neck feels supported, my spine feels long, my hips feel open. This feels wonderful. So finding that pose for you in your body in this moment, if you haven't been moving as much over the last week or two, like most of us have, your pose today will be different from what it was a month ago. And also, this is sort of a DIY version, so it's a little different. So, but find your version and then allow everything to relax. I like the arms either out in opposite directions or sort of alongside the body, sort of at diagonals, but either way, I like palms facing up, but if that feels like too much in any part of your body, know that you don't have to do that. Okay, and then let yourself rest. This is again butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. And you let yourself rest. And for every single one of these poses, the name of the game is relaxing. It is softening, releasing, letting go. finding the space where you feel a stretch, even if it's mild. It might be a very mild, soft, subtle stretch. That's okay. This is a gentle, subtle practice. And so you find that space where you feel a stretch. You find softness in your muscles. You release tension in the joints. And your breath is at ease. So from here on out, we're really not manipulating the breath anymore. You come back to the organic, natural, fluid breath, whatever that looks like or feels like. And you just soften. You let go. No one needs anything from you right now. No one is asking anything of you right now. This time is yours. This time is your time to do this self-care. And whether that means something physical or something more mental or emotional to you, your self-care is important. And so you indulge and you let yourself really experience that self-care. Again, knowing that there's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, you just rest. Gently deepen your breath. And allow the breath to fill your body so that you can create soft, effortless movements throughout the body. Let your head rock side to side. Wiggle fingers and toes. Move wrists and arms. And then bring your hands to the outsides of your thighs. Use the strength of your arms to push your legs together like you're closing a book. So you come back with your knees bent and feet flat. So depending on what you are resting on, you're welcome to roll to the side in a tucked fetal position, or push your hands down into the ground and lift yourself up. But take your time. We'll come up to a seated position. Okay. All right. Now we are just going to use one pillow. So these other ones you can set off to the side. I like using this small one, but again, if you've got bigger ones, that's fine. If you're using a bigger pillow, it's going to go perpendicular to your mat, not along the length of your mat. It's not going to go along the spine like we just did. It's going to go from shoulder to shoulder. Okay, but I will explain more in a moment. So I'm going to pad under my head. I'm going to use this pillow. Okay. And now this one, like the last movement, or unlike the last one we were right up against it. We want this a little bit farther back. We want the pillow or towel, blanket, whatever, to be closer by the shoulder blades and not so much the lower back. We're sort of supporting the ribs and the shoulder blades. So I like to start with my knees bent, and you'll lower down. So your seat is heavy on the ground. Your ribs are lifted off the ground. This one takes quite a bit of finessing. So again, take your time, wiggle, move, shake your sillies out. But we want to get the shoulders on the ground. So shoulder blades will be lifted, but the shoulders, where most of us carry our attention, those should be at least hovering over the ground. And then you let the arms come out in opposite directions, palms up, and then the shoulders should come down a little bit more. So this is a back bend. I want you to think of your spine from hips to shoulders makes like a rainbow shape. It's not a very steep rainbow, it's very small. But the hope is that hips are down, shoulders are down, ribs are up. So whatever pillow you've used, or towel or blanket, etc., that's going to change the depth of the rainbow, or the height of it. And so it might be too much. It might not be enough. I could probably take on more, but I'm okay here. I don't need a super deep stretch here. So I'm just going to stay here, even though it's pretty mild feeling in my body. So again, arms out, palms up. You might lengthen your legs and allow your legs to come along your mat. I think I'll take that variation. Or you can keep your knees bent. And again, I like something under my head. So just like before, if you were to open your eyes and look straight forward, you're looking straight up overhead, not at the back of the, and not at the back of the room or the wall behind you. You should be looking upside down here. You should be looking straight up. So that's how I know I need some height. Okay. And then we rest. You fidget, you wiggle, you finesse however you have to, and then you find the restful position. You find, again, the pose or the version of the pose that makes you want to go, and then you've got it. There really is no right or wrong when it comes to restorative. It really is just about finding what makes you feel good. Again, this is not the type of practice where we're going to be working I'm putting in effort. It's not that kind of yoga. We're looking for something that just feels really good, lets your body soften, muscles fall away from the bones, joints are free of tension, breath is at ease, and you can really rest. So allow softness everywhere. From the tips of your toes all the way up to the crown of the head, out to the fingertips, let everything soften. Let it all go. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to accomplish. No work, physical or mental, that you need to put forth here. You relax, let go. You soften everywhere, and you release. breath. Imagine the breath filling all the way down to the toes and the fingers so that when they move, it's easy. Maybe let the head rock, roll wrists and ankles, move arms and legs. Now from here, when you're ready, one leg at a time, bend your knee, plant the foot on the ground, do the same with the other leg. And slowly roll over onto either side, all the way off all of the props you were using. Take a deep breath here. And then firmly push the hands down to lift yourself up to a seat. Okay. Now we're going to again use all of our props. This is the last pose where we really need any of them. So you're going to take your pillows, place them closer to where they were when we started. And you're going to stack them. So whether you have 4 or 2 and 2 or whatever, we're creating a bolster. If you've got a bolster, you can just use the bolster. And then again, I'm going to place this for my head, but we're going to come into child's pose. So we're actually going to face the props and our belly will rest. So make this, especially if you've got 4 little pillows like I do, what's nice about doing this is you can really manipulate them to any height. So for example, if this one is sort of in the way, if you're pregnant, you've got a belly, whatever it is, if this just feels like it's in the way, you could remove it and everything else is supported. So really make it what your body needs it to be. And it might also be because your spine is tight, you've got an issue, you might need more support, less support, whatever you need. But you're gonna come up so your legs are beside the props. So your knees are maybe about mat distance, maybe a little narrower, but it's like the inner part of your thigh is touching the prop. Your feet are together, and the first step here in this pose is to let your hips come towards your heels. I often see students do this pose shifting everything forward. What we really want is your knees deeply bent. So drop your seat down first. They might not touch, that's okay. There's a lot happening in the ankles and knees here. So, and hips and spine. There's a lot going on. So we want hips as close to the heels as possible. Keep it back and then fold forward. We don't want to let everything come forward. Let your torso rest. So again, this might be in the way. Like, I don't think I like it there. So I'm gonna remove it and then lower down. Yeah, this feels good. Okay. Actually, I think I want this one gone too. So if you have more flexibility in your spine, you might take on less height, like I'm doing. I actually feel best with just one layer, but that's really only if you've got a lot of mobility in your spine. Okay. Clock. Okay. So here, let one cheek rest down. I'll let you know when we're halfway and when to switch sides. But just let one cheek rest on the floor. You can position your arms wherever you'd like. I like my arms kind of close by the bolster, almost like I'm sort of hugging it. And there might be a lot happening here in your body. Now, you might be feeling a lot through any one of those spaces I mentioned. The tops of your feet and your ankles, your knees and your quads, your hips, your inner thighs, and your spine.
Now for me, I feel a lot in some of those spaces and nothing in some of those other spaces. And so there's really no right or wrong as long as it's comfortable. So now allow yourself to settle downward, letting the front of your body feel heavy. The last two poses, we were allowing the back side of the body to feel heavy. But now we want the front side of the body to feel very heavy, like it's being pulled to the center, to the core of the earth. Now that doesn't mean you lose any autonomy or free will of your body. You're just allowing this natural force to do its job. You're indulging in it. You're letting it do the work. And so again, like Karina says, you get into this position where you feel like you want to say, but also, you should feel as though the pose becomes more and more comfortable as time goes on. So even now, you should be more comfortable than you were when we first arrived in the pose. It should become more and more comfortable. It should be easier to stay with each moment. You know you're pushing a little too far if the tension is building as you stay. The tension should be softening, releasing, and letting go. So allow that releasing and that letting go. Take 3 more deep breaths here. And then keeping as much of the body as still as possible, slowly turn your head, letting your other cheek rest down on the floor, on your props. And then rest. Continue to rest and let go. in your breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Move wrists and arms. And then bring your hands alongside the props under your shoulders in narrow. Push your hands into the floor and inhale, lift your upper body. Lifting your torso off your props. Pause for a moment. And you can take a few moments to move in any way that you'd like. So from here, what usually feels good is to come into a tabletop and lengthen your legs back one at a time. Maybe rock back and forth. Because the knee was very deeply bent and the hip was very deeply flexed. So allow those things to lengthen. And of course, doing both sides. And then our final pose before Shavasana, we don't need any of the pillows. I would use something under the head, but again, nothing this thick, something smaller. We're gonna come into legs up the wall. So you do need wall space. If you don't have wall space, you could use the edge of the couch, a bed, an ottoman, a coffee table, something like that. We just want the thighs to be vertical, straight up and down line. So I'll show you more or less what it will look like. So I would put myself here, place something where my head will go, and you position yourself so that you're up against the wall, sideways in a tucked fetal position. You allow your legs to lift and your torso to lower, and then you might wiggle closer to the wall or farther away. If you have issues with your lower back, I would be a little farther away. Like for me right now, I'm probably 6 to 8 inches away from the wall, and this feels really good. I don't have to be right up against the wall. Your feet can be together or hip distance. Try not to stagger so that your feet are on the same height. So whatever you need, and then arms out or whatever you need, give yourself some time to set up and legs up the wall. Sometimes it takes a while to be here. I'm not going to stay in the pose. I'm going to come up to a seat, but you take your time getting in the pose. There's a good chance that if I'm in this pose, I will forget I'm recording because I really like this pose a lot. And we don't want that. So you set yourself up so you're really comfortable. And again, your hips and your seat might be right up against the wall. It might not be. You might be a foot away. That's okay. If you're resting on like at the edge of a couch, a bed, a coffee table, whatever, your knees will probably just bend and your heels will rest. That's okay. We just want the legs higher than the torso somehow. And then this becomes an inversion where your legs are now higher than your torso, which almost never happens. And the reason we take on this inversion, or any inversion really, is because it releases the tension that tends to build in the lower half of the body. So this is a great pose for anyone who does a lot of standing or walking or running, or even if you just spend a particular day doing one of those things a lot. You're on your feet all day, one day. You can come home and do this pose. You don't have to be warmed up. You could go right into it. And so that any tension that had been building in your feet and your ankles, your calves, your shins, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your lower back
can now all release. It can soften. And so that's one of the many reasons we do inversions in yoga. But here especially to release the lower half of the body, because it is constantly carrying the weight of you. Even if you're sitting, your lower back is still taking on the weight of your upper body. And that's precisely what it was built to do. But giving it a break every once in a while is well deserved and appreciated. And so in this pose, you probably don't feel a stretch. There's probably no grand feeling in your body, but it should feel good. It still brings you to a point that makes you just want to, you feel really comfortable, really relaxed. And maybe you can't quite put your finger on why or where or what or how, but that's all right. That's okay. We're not here to think and process and analyze. We're here to feel, to experience, and then let it go. And so let it go. Soften, relax, and let go. Deepen your breath. Bring soft movements throughout your body. Toes, fingers, and head. Roll ankles and wrists. Move arms and legs. Inhale. Exhale, hug your knees into your chest and slowly roll over onto either side in a tucked fetal position. Rest for a moment. Using the strength of both arms, push into the ground, lift yourself up to a comfortable seat. Now we'll settle into our final pose, Shavasana. If I'm looking at the clock correctly, I think we're at already over an hour. So if that was all the time you had, you're more than welcome to finish the practice there. That's what's sort of nice about Restorative, is that we were basically moving through variations of Shavasana throughout the class. Shavasana is so important because it gives you those moments of intentional rest and very conscious stillness. So if that was all the time you had, you're welcome to move on through your day, keeping that quiet, calm energy about you, hopefully. Otherwise, if you've got more time, we'll come into Shavasana, into our final resting pose that ends every single yoga class, whether it's restorative or not. Again, I'm gonna stay upright, but this is where you just come down onto your back. Again, I like something under the head, but it's nothing too big. And you just allow your body to rest completely extended, arms alongside the body, about a foot away with the palms up. If when you lengthen your legs, your lower back is feeling like it wants a little support, bring pillows under the backs of your knees or a towel or whatever it is that you've got. Put a little kink in the knees, and then that will help soften the whole back side. But whatever your Shavasana looks like, your final resting pose, let everything soften. So one final time, let the back side feel heavy. And heavy is a passive quality. It is a soft and gentle experience where you let gravity do its job. You let every single muscle relax. From the tips of your toes, up through the legs, past the hips and the spine, down the arms to the fingertips, up the throat to the crown of the head. Everything relaxes. Everything softens. There is no tension, no stress anywhere in your body. And this pose, Shavasana, is most likely a position where you're not feeling a stretch. Again, it's not about a deep stretch or a lengthening. It's not about your body accomplishing anything. It's really quite the opposite. We take this deliberate stillness, this very conscious and intentional rest, to balance out all the work and the exertion that your body and your mind do throughout the day, with just lying on your back, with just resting. We need that rest. We need that stillness. And so indulge, enjoy, experience rest without a purpose, without a goal at the end. Thinking about any other time that you rest like this, it's really with the intention of sleeping. You sort of still have this goal you're working toward. You're trying to sleep. trying to accomplish that. Sleep. You're working to sleep. You don't even have to do that here. You just rest. No goal, no end position or finish line. You're just resting. Just rest. Deepen your breath. Take deeper, fuller, longer breaths. And fill the rest of your body with those breaths. And then slowly move. Maybe rock the head side to side. Run your thumbs over the rest of your fingers as you wiggle your toes. Roll wrists and ankles. Move arms and legs. You can reach your arms overhead, stretching as if you just woke up from a long nap. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug your knees in towards your chest. Gently roll over onto your side. Keeping your eyes closed and using the strength of both arms, push down into the ground, come up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment here to thank yourself for making it to your mat today. And maybe reflect on your intention. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. Now slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. To seal the practice, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. You're welcome to join me or just listen, but Om is the oldest and most sacred mantra. It's said to be the seed sound, the first sound that ever existed. Every other sound came from the sound of Om. Again, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Let's start with a deep and clearing breath. Inhale for Om. The light or the good in me acknowledges, respects, and bows to the light or the good in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the practice. And really notice tonight if you sleep any differently. Sometimes we don't feel physical effects of restorative yoga. They're so subtle that we tend to overlook them. But really notice how you sleep tonight or on the nights that you practice restorative yoga. I often hear students, it's the night they sleep the best. Even if you practice this in the morning, just something to notice. Notice the subtle effects of your practice. And also, if you really enjoyed Legs Up the Wall, like most students do, in the next few days, I'm hoping I will get around to recording a restorative yoga practice centered on that pose, so different variations of Legs Up the Wall. And really all you'll need for that is wall space. And you don't even need very much. What I had used would be enough. So it doesn't have to be a lot of wall space, just even a little. So that will be coming up soon. So enjoy your day, get a good night's sleep, stay healthy, stay safe, and thank you so much.